Good morning to all of you. I now request Professor Shevgaonkar, Dr. Pramanik and Dr. Nangaonkar to come on the dais, please. So very good morning to all of you and Professor Shevgaonkar, Dr. Pramanik, Dr. Nangaonkar, my colleagues in IIT Bombay, students, invited speakers, uh, teachers and students from TechIP supported institutes and other engineering colleges. I heartily welcome you all for this workshop on electromagnetics, pedagogy and research trends. It is really good to know such a tremendous response to this workshop. There are more than 230 registrations. So we have uh, reserved now another room next to this so that parallel video streaming would be also done. And some time back when I was discussing with Professor Shevgaonkar and Dr. Pramanik, we thought that we should hold such a workshop on electromagnetics because this is one subject which is not given that due respect and attention in today's world of other so many interesting research areas. As all of you know, this is one of the foundational subjects, and one cannot do at least an electrical or electronic engineer cannot do anything worthwhile in terms of product design, optimization or new product development without sound understanding of electromagnetic fields. So this workshop is being organized for 2 days, as you might have seen on the website. The first day there are five, apart from the inaugural function, there are five sessions. First session, in the inaugural session, Dr. Pramanik is going to narrate his journey through electromagnetics, and that would be definitely interesting, and we look forward to his words on his journey. Later then there are three sessions. First session is on pedagogy. Second is on research opportunities in research organizations like BRC and in defense. Third session is we would know about what is happening in industries with respect to electromagnetics. Then we have a plenary session in which Professor Shevgaonkar has kindly agreed to address the audience on a subject which is very dear to his heart, that is how to teach electromagnetic waves in an effective way. So we would all get benefited from his address in the plenary session. At the end we have a panel discussion in which we will discuss how to take electromagnetics education and research in India in a best possible way. So in that session, although it is a panel discussion, I would urge all the participants to be more interactive and open up and give suggestions. So we would like to have that session highly interactive. Tomorrow's day is basically there are mainly four tutorials and then two small presentations. So tutorials are on computational electromagnetics, finite element method, then high frequency electromagnetics, that is microwave, and vector finite elements for high frequency electromagnetics and all that. So the program is quite packed, and I would like you to make maximum utilization of the same. With these words, now I would like to welcome the guest, and I would like to welcome them with some bouquet of flower and moment. So first of all, I would like to welcome Professor Shevgaonkar. And then I request Professor Shevgaonkar to felicitate Dr. Pramanik. Welcome, Dr. Nandau. Now I request Dr. Nangaonkar to say a few words. He is representing, Director of Technical Education Maharashtra, and he will. I request him to say a few words on their efforts to basically, help TechSoup supported colleges in promoting education in various fields.
Respected Shagaonkar sir, Professor Pramanik, Professor S.V. Kulkarni sir. First of all, I welcome all of you on behalf of SPFU and NPIU for this two-day workshop. This program is being conducted under TechQuip 2 project. The basic objective of this TechQuip is to strengthen the laboratories, to establish new laboratories for PG and research work, and enhance the employability of the students. Under this, Central India has selected 22 states from all over India, and Maharashtra is one of the states. Our 17 institutes are selected under this project, which is the largest number in India, all over India. Also, we have received 5 Center of Excellences also, 2 Center of Excellences at CUP, 1 at VJTI, 1 at ICT Mumbai, and 1 at SDGS Nanded. So total funding for these institutes are around 10 to 12.5 crore for each institute, and for Center of Excellence additionally 5 crores. So under this TechQuip, all these institutes are running their academic programs as well as enhancing their lab facilities. So 40% of the amount is specifically reserved for the training programs and academic enhancement, for not only for the students but also for the faculties also. So in addition to this TechQuip fund to individual institute, NPIU has given certain amount to all IITs in the country as well as some IIMs also for imparting training and academic events for the students and faculties of the TechQuip Institute. So already some of the courses have been conducted by Gadre sir under this KIT activity, and this course is for electrical engineering students specifically, and being coordinated by Kulkarni sir. If you look at the content of this course, I am sure that it will be highly beneficial for the students as well as faculties who are working in the field of EMFs. So EMF is also a favorite subject of mine. I have also attended 2-3 courses on EMF conducted by Kulkarni sir and Shagaonkar sir. So I thank Professor S.V. Kulkarni for taking initiative to conduct a course specifically on EMF. I also thank to the TechQuip coordinators of all the project institute for supporting this event by deputing their faculty and students for this course. Thank you, sir.
Professor Gadre, head CDIP, he could not come today because he had to attend some other important meeting. But we have a recorded message of his, and we will, just listen to what he has to say about these kind of initiatives at IIT Bombay.
I wish to extend my warm welcome to all the participants of this program, organized by Professor S.V. Kulkarni of the Department of Electrical Engineering, under this umbrella called the TechQuip Knowledge Incubation under TechQuip, or KITE for short, MHRD TechQuip KITE. I understand that this is a workshop on electromagnetics Pedagogy and Research Trends. I am speaking to this audience as the head of the Center for Distance Engineering Education Program, or CDEEP as we call it for short. And as head CDEEP, I would like to explain to you the purpose of MHRD TechWhip Kite. This whole project was envisaged by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, within some of the IITs to reach out to what are called some of the TechWhip institutes. You see, TechWhip is a huge project undertaken by the government in collaboration with the World Bank to improve and enhance the quality of technical education in the country. That's why it's called Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, TechWhip. And the IITs were asked to participate in this whole TechWhip initiative by organizing certain nodal activities for TechWhip institutes. Nodal activities where participants, faculty, students, research students, graduates, undergraduates, faculty from all these TechWhip institutes could come together, could talk to one another, exchange ideas, and most importantly could interact with IIT faculty and renowned experts in various fields. And the whole theme was to build pedagogical training or specialized training which would otherwise not be a routine part of the TechWhip initiative. So, to carry some of the strengths of the IIT system and to adapt them to the context of the TechWhip institutes, indirectly through the process of these workshops and these events that we are organizing and these initiatives that we have taken under MHRD TechWhip Kite. I'm very grateful to all of you for having come to this workshop today. Your participation, and I understand actually from Professor S.V. Kulkarni that there is a very good participation. More than 200 people had expressed their interest to come for this workshop, which is very heartening indeed. Thank you very much for coming in such large numbers. We want people to come and participate in what we organize. And most importantly, we wish that you should carry away from this workshop some of what you learn here, both as the title suggests in terms of pedagogy and also in terms of the cutting edge work that is on in this area, research trends. With regard to the specific theme, I also happen to be from the Department of Electrical Engineering, although I'm speaking to you as head CDEEP today. Electromagnetics is known to be a subject which requires a lot of skill in pedagogy and also in research. I must express at this point my heartfelt gratitude to Professor S.V. Kulkarni for having taken upon himself to organize this workshop and do it so well. Such a wonderful job done. I must also very heartfully express my gratitude to all the speakers and the experts who have taken the trouble and the time to come here and be with us in this workshop, share with us their ideas, their thoughts on this theme. And without taking too much of your time, I now request you to make the very best of this workshop. Thank you once again, both to the audience, to all our experts, and especially to Professor S.V. Kulkarni for having made this workshop possible. I would also like to take this platform to acknowledge all our CDEEP staff and all the people behind the scenes in this workshop who have made this workshop possible. And formally and with complete gratitude, I would like to thank the Ministry of Human Resource Development and the whole TechWhip project for bringing MHRD TechWhip Kite to IIT Bombay and making it possible for us to organize such workshops where we can reach out to all of you. Thank you so much.
We have been very fortunate to have Professor Shevgaonkar with us as chief guest. When I first asked him about the workshop, and without a fraction of a second he said, yes, I will be there. So I'm really very thankful to him, and he has been always supportive for any initiative in the area of electromagnetics. Actually, he needs no introduction, but just as a formality, it is my proud pleasure to introduce him to the audience. He received his BE degree with gold medal in electrical engineering from Jivaji University and MTech from IIT Kanpur and PhD from IIT Bombay. He was a scientist at Indian Institute of Astrophysics and Raman Research Institute. After doing his postdoctoral fellowship at University of Maryland, USA, he joined IIT Bombay. He has occupied various positions at IIT Bombay like Dean of Students Affairs, Dean of Resource Mobilization, Head of Department of Electrical Engineering, Head of Center for Distance Engineering Education Program, and Deputy Director. He was Vice Chancellor of University of Pune and presently he is Director of IIT Delhi. He has been a visiting professor at University of Lincoln, USA, and ETH Zurich, Switzerland, and ISEP Paris, France. He has been an active researcher in the area of optical communication, image processing, antennas, microwaves, radio astronomy, and other areas. He has published more than 150 papers in international journals and conferences, and two books, namely Electromagnetic Waves and Transmission Lines for Electrical Engineers. He has guided 18 PhDs and more than 30 MTech dissertations. His video and web lectures on electromagnetics and fiber optic communications are used worldwide through YouTube. He is a recipient of IEEE Undergraduate Teaching Award 2011, IET Award for his outstanding contribution to optical communication, and the Excellence in Teaching Award of IIT Bombay. He has received the Education Leadership Award 2012 from Headlines Today, New Delhi. He is also a recipient of Vasvik Award 2009 in the category of Information and Communication Technology, IIT Ramlal Vadha Award, IEEE William E. Sell Award for Achievement in Education 2014. He is a fellow of IEEE, fellow of INAE, fellow of NASI, fellow of IET, fellow of Optical Society of India, fellow of Institute of Engineers, fellow of Maharashtra Academy of Sciences, and member of International Astronomical Union and Astronomical Society of India. He has been a member of many international and national research and educational committees. So from this CV, it is very clear we do not have what a person of what stature we have for our inaugural function as a chief guest. Now I request Professor Shegaonkar to address the audience and give his words of advice and also formally inaugurate the workshop. Thank you, Professor Shegaonkar.
Dr. Pramanik, Dr. S.V. Kulkarni, Dr. Nandgaonkar, all distinguished colleagues from various colleges, institutions, all the students of IIT Bombay and from other institutions. First of all, it is indeed a great privilege and honor to be here on this morning with the lovers of electromagnetism. I assume all of you are either lovers of electromagnetism or aspiring to be lovers of electromagnetism. So it's a great opportunity to really talk to you on this. SPK read a long introduction, but he just missed one main introduction of mine. I'm a teacher of electromagnetism. And that's what I most of the time enjoy, and I keep thinking about it, that when I joined IIT Bombay, one of my mission was how to make this subject of electromagnetism the most popular subject among the students. And to some extent I succeeded, that the students started enjoying this course, and that essentially gave even birth to the book, which is the origin from that book, from the course, which I taught for a long time. Actually, if you really see, if you leave the biological species, whatever you see around today, and if you see philosophically, you have a soul and a body. And if you remove body, what is soul is electromagnetism. Anything which you see what is happening around you, without electromagnetism, it cannot happen. Just look around you and ask a question, is there any electric or magnetic field associated with that? And you will see 99.9% time the answer would come, yes. If it is functioning, working, moving, then there must be electric and magnetic field associated with it. That is the core of a foundation of anything which is happening in the modern society. Actually, somebody was saying that now even that dividing line between different disciplines are vanishing. There's nothing like communication or electronics or high frequency or various things. Probably we should only have the schools like Darwin School or the Maxwell School or the Newton School. And that's what it is. So if you have Maxwell School, whatever is related to electromagnetism, electric and magnetic field, essentially lies in the Maxwell School. So many things which are happening around the world essentially just fall into this category of electromagnetism. Actually, when I started as a student, and I'm going to talk a little later in the evening about my experience with electromagnetism, but as a student, I thought this subject was the most interesting subject, but the least admired subject by anybody, neither by the teacher nor by the students. And more you read, more you realize that how interesting this subject is, and how interesting it could be. So my experience has always been in high frequencies, and which is a lot more difficult when you see from the electromagnetism point of view. So earlier, when I got into the high frequency electronic circuits, this technology or the microwave technology was called a screwdriver technology. And why they used to call screwdriver technology? Because no matter how much good analysis you do, finally when you want to make the system work, you still have to tune some things here and there which are very arbitrary, right? And by doing that, essentially you make the system work, and still you don't understand why it works. So that's the reason it used to be called a screwdriver technology. So they used to say you do lots of analysis, pages and pages, but at the end when you do this, the things don't work. And then you make it work by trial and error. But this is the scenario is completely changed over the years. There was a time when things were done little more heuristically. Then the time came when the things were done very, very rigorously, analytically. And you will see, if you see 60s, 70s papers, 50s, 60s, 70s, there used to be long derivations and reductions of the formulae and that kind of thing which was there in electromagnetism. And a lot of time used to go into how to simplify many of the things which you understand and get the final answer from which you can really make some sense. As the time moved forward, this approach of analytical also is changed. Now it has become more numerical. So many of the equations which otherwise you would not solve because they were not solvable analytically. So most of the time you reduce those equations to some simplified form and then solve it. Now you don't have to do that. You have to really take the most complex problem which you think of, make a formulation of that and just give to the computer, and the computer will really solve this problem numerically. So the numerical techniques have started getting now the front seat. It has its positive and negative both the effects, because when the numerical things are coming forward, people stopped imagining what is there in the field. But at the same time, you have more and more accurate results which you can get from the numerical analysis. So the emphasis of the field has changed over these years. It has gone from the heuristics to analytical to the numerical. But if you really see the research which is going on in this area, one is of course the low frequency side, which is power side, where you see transformers and machines and so on. But there is a whole range of frequencies, right from the kilohertz to the terahertz, or even optical frequencies. And they all fall into this category of electromagnetism. So you will see that a lot of research is going on to high frequency side. And at the base of that, it is just the phenomena which is associated with the time varying electric and magnetic fields. So my exposure has always been the time varying electric and magnetic fields, because that's what the high frequency communication side is. And now as the time is moving, originally this field was more confined to like radar technology or satellite communication. Now the same thing is going to the analysis level of the nanostructures. So when you are talking about optical devices, for example, we are now making the structures which are of nanometer size, and then you are asking how the electric and magnetic fields would behave when you go to those structures where the structure size becomes comparable to or even smaller than the wavelength which we are dealing with. So many new technology devices are coming here, and the subject is becoming more and more complex and more profound, as you see around in this area. So this workshop, I think it is a very timely workshop in the sense that any of you who have any inclination to work in today's even communication parlance, something called physical layer, I think you have to deal with this subject. Even if you talk about the high frequency electronics, the PCs which you are talking about, the PCBs which you make for the PCs, the frequencies are now going to go to gigahertz, a few gigahertz or even tens of gigahertz. And those frequencies, without invoking the concepts of electromagnetism, you will not be able to predict the performance of these devices. So even for those people who are not working in communication, who are just working in even basic electronics, since the frequencies are touching very, very high, these phenomena of electromagnetics are becoming more and more important. So anybody who wants to get into this has to understand these subjects. And this workshop essentially is going to give you how to look at these problems, how to make the subjects more understandable, more attractive. Even if you get numerical results, how to interpret them, how to get best out of those results which the numerical computer programs are giving. I think that is the objective of this workshop. So I think under TechWhip, this is a great initiative which has taken, and I wish all the best for all of you to have a great time together. And I will be around. Other people also will be around. Professor Pramanik, he's a profound researcher in electromagnetics. Any of you have any doubts, you please ask these doubts to people who are around you. I'm not guaranteeing that we will answer those doubts. We may not answer those doubts because we may not know what the answer to those doubts is. But I ask the questions, and probably if you don't know the answer, we together will find the answer for this problem. That's the objective of this workshop. So let us wish you all the best and have a great time in this workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Shegaonkar, for a very nice and thought-provoking inaugural speech. Now it is my proud privilege and honor to introduce to you formally Dr. Pramanik, who is the guest of honor of this workshop and this function. Dr. Pramanik at present is Emeritus Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering, COEP Pune. He studied at Glasgow University and Strathclyde University and did his all postgraduate work at University of Birmingham, UK, researching and developing solutions for problems of end region magnetic fields of large rotating machines, developing analytical solutions for three-dimensional multi-region eddy current problems. He started his professional career as a research engineer in electromagnetics in the Nelson Research Laboratories of the English Electric Company, now GEC Alstom, UK and France. He has contributed to the calculation of subtransient and subtransient reactance of world's first 500 megawatt turbo generator at West Burton Power Station in UK and participated in the operation of linear pumps of liquid metal circulation in the world's first fast breeder reactor at Dounreay, North Scotland. He has also been visiting he was a visiting lecturer at University of Birmingham and also at GEC, Hurst Research Scholar and ICI Postdoctoral Fellow there. He subsequently joined University of Leeds as a lecturer in electromagnetism under the headship of the great Professor G.W. Carter. We all know Carter's coefficient and the same. And Professor P.J. Lawrenson, participating in development of finite difference method using complex variables for traveling field eddy current problem. This is what Professor Shegaonkar was saying, that initial days analytical solutions were developed for solving complex problems. Probably he was one of the first ones to develop such analytical solutions. Later he joined BHL Corporate R&D Division at its formation in 1976 and established successfully the electromagnetic phenomenon laboratories working on electromagnetic problems in turbo generators, hydro generators, large AC and DC machines, large transformers. After retirement from BHL R&D, he has been a DJ Gandhi Distinguished Visiting Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay. During his professional life, he has made significant contributions in various aspects of low-frequency electromagnetism, some of which are extension of Roth's method deriving non-separable solution from method of separation of variables, method of images, in the area of time varying force calculations and so on. Only what is not here is he has 3 books to his credit now, by Prentice Hall of India. First one is electromagnetism theory, second volume is electromagnetism application, and third is problems in electromagnetism and their solution. So, and he has written these last two books at least in last 3-4 years time. So at his age, we should all get inspired to really work even harder and more intelligently to better the knowledge of electromagnetics in India. With these words, I would now request Dr. Pramanik to address this August gathering and narrate his journey through electromagnetics in his lifetime. Over to Dr. Pramanik.
Good morning, and I very much appreciate the honor that this institute has done to me by inviting me as a guest of honor. And I would also like to thank Professor Kulkarni, Professor Shigaonkar, and Dr. Nangaonkar for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Well, I will start my talk with my journey through electromagnetism. But before I do that, I would like to say that since this is a somewhat autobiographical talk, there might be a tendency on my part, as some of the great writers like Rudyard Kipling and Alphonse de Plau have said, that when you do an autobiographical talk, you have the advantage of laying it thick at your own points of convenience. I shall try to be as objective as possible, but if I err on this side, I may be excused and forgiven for it. To start with, I initially never wanted to be an engineer. My interest was mathematics, and I did my maths degree from University of Nagpur in 1950s. After that, I changed over and joined one of the ancient universities in the world, that is the University of Glasgow, which was established in 1420s, and the college affiliated to this university was the first institute in the world which gave recognition to the chair of engineering. It established the world's first chair of applied mechanics in that college, which was in 1650s. When I studied engineering, electrical engineering, you see, there was more of mechanical engineering than electrical engineering, because out of the 8 honors papers that I had to do, 4 were on mechanical engineering side. The concept of the discovery of transistors had come about that time, and we were one of the earliest groups who were taught transistors with in the rigorous manner, using either impedance or admittance or hybrid matrices. Well, be that as it may, I completed my degree from Glasgow, and I got a scholarship at Birmingham University for doing research on enwinding fields of large machines. As an undergraduate, I had no formal subject of electromagnetism. The enwinding field of large machines is basically a 3-dimensional problem, and so I had to jump straight from undergraduate knowledge to solving 3-dimensional eddy current problems in a cylindrical coordinate system. So the first month I spent in my research was studying Carter's book on electromagnetic field in its engineering aspects from page 1 to the last page and back a number of times before I could apply the techniques of solving such problems. Now, also, you must remember that in those days, that is in 1950s, there were no computers as you know it today. Of course, during the Second World War, ENIAC and MANIAC had been used for atom bomb calculations, and the scientists who had been involved in this kind of work, they had come back to UK and developing the first generation of computers. In this particular project, I had about 4 papers to study, and also again in those days there were no good photocopying facilities, so all the work that we did, we had to virtually hand copy each paper from various journals. The problem was a cylindrical geometry problem in which the overhang windings had to be represented. The technique again used was either scalar magnetic potential or vector magnetic potential, and since the calculations required for vector magnetic potential are quite elaborate, I had solved the problem by using the concept of scalar magnetic potential, in which I did not define the actual potential of the winding. I used the technique of single coil per pole, and I said on that interface boundary the potential difference was such that I did not attribute any absolute potential value to the current. This, of course, had its advantage and disadvantages. The advantage was that the errors made by other authors like Dr. R.T. Smith or Mr. Honsinger, those errors I could eliminate by the way I defined the interface continuity condition on the surface of the winding. This solution which I obtained was used subsequently by the English Electric Company, which offered me a job directly seeing the model which I had used. Now, the model which I had built was at the time when, Professor Mukherjee and Professor Subbarao were also in UK. Professor Mukherjee was in King's College, London, and Professor Subbarao was in University of Sheffield under Professor Robson. The model that I built was seen by the industrial representative, who was Mr. A.B.J. Rees of English Electric, and after discussing the problem with me, they offered me a job which I accepted, and I was shifted to their Nelson Research Lab in Stafford, and once I joined them, they demanded that I should get the model from the university to the research lab. Now, this model was at University of Birmingham under my guide, Mr. Henderson. So I told my English Electric bosses that I can't ask for that model because it's not my model, it's the model that Mr. Henderson has got. But my English Electric's boss, Mr. Fenimore, he just picked up the phone, rang Mr. Henderson and told me, you take the phone and tell him that we want the model at English Electric. So ultimately, it came to English Electric, and on that, we developed further work uh, on not only turbo generators but also hydro generators. The reason being, English Electric had got a very large contract on manufacture of large hydro generators, that is uh, 80 megawatt. It was large in those days. 80 megawatt, 84 pole machines, and some of the machines on installation in USA at Priest Rapid uh, hydroelectric station had failed, and the end windings had got damaged. That is why they wanted me to start on this job. And also, the geometry was such that the same method would be applicable to turbo generator problems. The turbo generators in those days, my guide, Mr. Henderson, had been on the team that produced the largest turbo generator at his time, which was a 30 megawatt machine. And by the time I had uh, joined the industry, the rating of the turbo generators had jumped from 30 megawatts to 370 megawatts, and they were working on the development of 500 megawatt machines. The 500 megawatt machine, you see, when I solved the enwinding problem, University of Birmingham and uh, English Electric, uh, by using the method of scalar potential, you could calculate the various reactances, but the eddy current loss in the end region, that is the clamping plate, copper screen, or magnetic shunt, could not be calculated by using the method of scalar potential. So, subsequently, I got this fellowship at University of Birmingham, and I started working on the method of applying the vector potential to the end region. Now, before I could do that, uh, proper modeling of the device needed certain other techniques also. For example, method of images. The method of images, as understood in those days, uh, were wrongly interpreted a number of times, uh, and the result was a number of papers which contained such solutions were highly incorrect, and the correction had to be made on two grounds: the calculation of force between the current carrying conductors and the effect of time varying current was not properly understood. For example, even today, in most of the books on electromagnetism, you will find the Ampere-Laplace's law giving the solution of force between two current carrying conductors in terms of an unidirectional force. But if the time varying current is in the conductor, then the force between such conductors would contain a time independent unidirectional force, added to which there would be an oscillatory force of the same magnitude, but the oscillatory force would be either double frequency or single frequency depending on the phase difference between the two conductors. These things were not understood properly, as a result of which, you see, the machine windings were subject to a vibratory force. And it took a long time to understand the nature of this vibratory force and then make suitable corrections in the design. For example, today, if you go to the design of large turbo generators, you will find that in this stator slot, the two-layer winding between the two conductors. There is a vibratory force, and you have to design the slot with suitable spring arrangement such that this force, which we now call bar bouncing forces, have to be accounted for in the design. The consequence of not doing these corrections were quite severe, and a lot of companies have paid price for this lack of understanding, even as late as 1970s when I joined BHEL. Now, I spent time both in English, British industry. I had been to German industry also, and then at the time in 1976, when I was teaching in Leeds University, then Director General of CSIR, Dr. Nayudamma, he was looking for experts to uh, support the public sector industry that was being set up in the country, and it was in that connection I came back to India with establishment of BHEL R&D. We, uh, I was given the responsibility of setting up the electromagnetic phenomena lab in BHEL corporate R&D, and we successfully had a very good team of engineers working on electromagnetic problems, ranging from turbo alternators, hydrogenerators, large AC/DC machines, and also transformers. Uh, the There were quite a number of difficulties in those days. For example, today you can produce a field plot within a few seconds. But at the time when we were working, the conditions were pretty difficult. For example, to get a field plot of a section, whether it is of turbo generator or transformer, it took us 8 hours at least to get one complete field plot. In the application of finite element method, the discretization, which you don't have to do, the computer does for you in any of these software packages, we had developed either manual or semi-automatic methods of discretization. Numbering of the nodes, that again had to be done manually. So, to get a field plot after developing the complete software, it used to be a 3 to 4 day job just to get one field plot. Now, after this job, I will come to some of the problems as how from industry the problems can be transferred to academic world. To give a particular example, you see in large turbo generators, due to magnetic dissymmetry in the stator, this dissymmetry creates a unwanted voltage in the shaft of the machine. This unwanted voltage in the shaft of the machine has quite damaging effects because of the nature of the unwanted voltage. The unwanted voltage can be of a number of different sources. The turbo generator, which is driven by a steam turbine, the steam turbine is usually a 3-stage turbine, HP, IP, and LP. when the steam enters the turbine at supercritical temperatures, the steam there is quite dry. The second stage is IP, where the steam starts getting wet, and the LP stage, the steam coming out is wet steam, and this wet steam causes deposition of charged water particles on the shaft of the turbo generator at the end. And this charged water particles create a potential drop on the shaft. This potential drop can be the detrimental effects of this potential drop can be eliminated by using what are called grounding brushes, and that is done. But the potential drop created by this magnetic dissymmetry in the machine. The magnetic dissymmetry is caused by the stator. The large stator is made up of sectoral laminations, which has to be done because in small machines you can have circular laminations, but large machines they have to be sectoral laminations, and however precision you might try, the air gap is not exactly a concentric circle, and this non-concentricity of the air gap causes alternating voltage along the shaft of the turbo alternator. This alternating voltage cannot be eliminated. All you can do is control this. Now, control means you have to control the current flowing through the shaft, the alternating current flowing through the shaft through the pedestal mounted bearings at two ends. So to control this, you have to measure the current. To measure the current, you cannot use a straightforward ammeter. What you have to do is use what are called Rogowski coils based on, well, this unwanted voltage and current measuring is done by means of these Rogowski coils for the simple reason here the potential drop has come out as a consequence of time varying, space distributed, non-conservative magnetic fields. Now, this thing was first suggested by Professor Melcher and Professor House of MIT. It was a demonstration experiment which was not associated with this problem, which was published in Proceedings of IEEE and more or less under the title Magnetic and Electric Fields. And this paper was more or less passed unnoticed. But when we face this problem in industry, right from BHEL to ASIA and Siemens, we found the root of the problem and also the means of measuring the currents. Now, what is not realized is in such cases, the only thing in an artificial circuit in which is carrying this current, the current is the only single valued function, and the voltage in such circuits is not single valued. It is multi-valued or double valued. And this understanding and this analysis that it is due to non-conservative, time varying, or I should say time harmonic space distributed magnetic field, this analysis, if not done completely, it produces partial results in which, for example, one would say that it's a breakdown of Kirchhoff's law. But the fact is, it is the effect of space distributed time harmonic magnetic fields, which is non-conservative in nature, and hence, if you take either Ampere's law or the line integral of EDL, we say that in static fields, the line integral of EDL is path independent. But in such cases, it is not path independent, and the potential at the same 2 points would depend on how you measure it. So this can be considered as a breakdown of Kirchhoff's law. But that is a sort of superficial interpretation. Now, all such things I subsequently put in, when I was in the college, the models were built to indicate how things behave here, how such things behave, and this is a repetition of the models which I had built when I was in BHEL R&D to demonstrate this fact. This is how we can protect the turbo generator shafts. Now, the surprising thing is, when I suggested this thing, it was not accepted by most of the engineers of failure analysis group in BHEL R&D. It was only after my retirement that they got convinced that what I was saying was correct. But by that time, companies like ASIA and Siemens, they had already started producing such measuring devices for their machines, for their turbo alternators. Now, you see, this type of activity can be very successfully utilized in teaching field, because these are very much practical oriented, useful problems to develop the interest of the students. We have done some of these things in COEP, as Professor Chaudhary will in his talk show. So this is one aspect where a closer interlink between industry and academic world would benefit the new students. Well, this is as far as I would go. The work that is done in industry, the teaching institutions in this country should have a much closer link to appreciate and understand how to make the, how to impress the importance of electromagnetism, particularly low frequency electromagnetism, to power engineers would be required, and the interest in the mind of the students would also be developed in a more meaningful way. Well, I think this is part of the life I have led in my journey through electromagnetism. That's all, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pramanik, for taking us through your electromagnetic life, as I may say so. And it sort of gave us a complete picture from 1950s onwards how things developed sequence by sequence. And thanks for the enlightening talk. Now, I think with this, we are almost coming to the end of this inaugural function. It is my, duty to give a formal vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank, MHRD TechCube KIT initiative and, CDIP in turn for, supporting this workshop. When I actually told Professor Gadre sometime few months back that we have such a workshop, he readily agreed, and that's how the the workshop is being held now. I must thank Professor Shevgaonkar and Dr. Pramanik for making it for the function. In fact, both of them have been really my mentors in electromagnetics, and I have learned many things from both of them. This is really, I am feeling little emotional, and I'm really feeling good also that they have both graced this function as chief guest and guest of honor respectively. So I also thank the invited speakers like Professor Harishankar Ramchandran from IIT Madras, Dr. Usha from Anna University, Professor B.N. Chowdhury from COEP, and host of others, researchers and practicing engineers from industry, as well as other IITs like IIT Kanpur, and we have one faculty from IISc also talking tomorrow to us. So I thank all of them who readily agreed. In fact, whoever I contacted, nobody said no to my request. So that shows that we electromagnetic community, we are quite enthusiastic to interact with anybody who is interested in this subject. So that is really good part of it. And then I would like to thank organizing committee members, mostly the IIT Bombay faculty and VZTI and COEP faculty who were on the organizing committee for contributing for a successful workshop as it is turning out to be. Particularly, you will see a large number of faculty and students from both VZTI and COEP. And they have always been really working closely with IIT Bombay for any such knowledge sharing platform. So when that is organized, I would like to also thank CDIP staff who have worked very hard for making this workshop successful. And as you may be aware, because the participation has gone beyond 200, we on war footing we arranged the second conference room, and we are doing parallel video streaming. So all that was possible due to tremendous effort put in by CDIP staff. I also would like to thank student volunteers who in last 1 week or so have really put lot of efforts in making the outstation participants accommodation and other things comfortable. So I must acknowledge their efforts in that respect. And I must finally any workshop cannot be successful without participation of participants. So all those participants who have come from all the way across the country and various parts of Maharashtra, I really thank them for their enthusiasm, and from other colleges also nearby, and in Mumbai also there are a lot of engineering colleges. I know there are many teachers from local engineering colleges within Mumbai. They have also turned in large numbers. I thank them for their interest in this workshop. So with this, I think if I have missed somebody inadvertently to thank, I thank all of them for making this workshop successful. Thank you all, and we are now breaking for a high tea, and we will start our first session at 11:30 with the session on pedagogy. Thank you so much.